Back here for the last game of the day at the 2015 World Championships of Beach Ultimate. I'm Brian Jones here with Megan Tormey. We have ourselves a game in the mixed division. Undefeateds battle it out here with Team Sweden versus Team Canada. Both teams hopeful in the medal round, high expectations coming into this tournament. Megan, we got to speak to Captain Jeremy Norden of the Canadian team. What can we expect from them today?
Well, the Canadian team is undefeated so far, so we can expect a lot of star power. To get this far in the tournament and not have a single loss, you clearly have to be a well-cohesive team, and they've proved themselves that so far.
On the other side, we have Team Sweden. Features a lot of tall, athletic players. They actually came in, had this team going for 2 years, a lot of cohesiveness. They last won the European Championships and kept the team together since then. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to practice much because, of course, it's snowy and cold in Sweden. But this game, we can expect to live up to the hype. Both of these teams trying to compete with Team USA. Canada actually faced one of the other hopefuls earlier today, squeaking out a win over the Philippines 11-9. And we can expect Team Sweden to put up quite the fight.
Absolutely. Sweden is going in hoping that their height will give them an advantage, but when you look across the bow of both teams, you see they'll be evenly matched in height. Additionally, Canada said they're not afraid of the height that Sweden has to offer. They are going to put up both long throws as well as work on short, quick passes.
Teams are breaking the huddle here in the beaches of Dubai. Presented here by Dubai Sports, a great location as we end the day. Last round here, Team Canada getting ready here in the mixed division. This is a co-ed division. Girls and guys both playing together. And if this is their first time viewing Ultimate, Beach Ultimate is played 5-on-5. You cannot run with the disc. You pass it between players into the end zone. You have 10 seconds at each point in time to throw it. And we play 1 point at a time. This is a game to 13, but there is a time cap to keep the tournament moving on. Once we reach 45 minutes, we will add 1 to the highest score and play to that point total.
Which makes for a very fast-paced day for all teams involved. Even though they'll only have 3 games or so each day, there are 10 fields here on Jumeirah Beach where the tournament is taking place, but there are 70 teams participating in this tournament. So when that 45-minute cap goes on, you add to the score and play to the new final point if 13 is not yet attainable, and then you have to pretty much move on, wait a few hours, and you play your next game.
And we started early this morning in the 8 a.m. round. We had some great games earlier today in the Open Division. Great Britain taking on Japan, and then we just saw USA defeat Canada. But we're here getting started. Sweden with the pole here against Team Canada in the mixed division. Norden will pick it up out of bounds, and this will be a brick as a result of a penalty for throwing the pole out of bounds. Norden will take it at what's called the brick mark, about 15 meters upfield.
So it looked like the disc went out while it was in flight and never came back in, which means you take the disc at the point where it went out of bounds. If it were to have come back in, that would be the new point where you would take the disc. This has given Canada a very early advantage in this game. They've had half the field taken away.
Pretty easy on offense when you only have to go half the length to score. Norden, known to be a terrific thrower. Looks like he'll anchor this offense. And pressure already from Team Sweden. Norden ignores the contact, delivers one through the middle for the score.
Tough D from Johan Leanderson. You know, kudos to Norden for being able to get up from that kind of contact and still throw a chilly throw.
That was Yolan Cabot from Team Odyssey out of Montreal. Norden was very happy to have him on the team. Usually has to play against him.
That's right. Cabot is one of those receivers who will put it all out on the line. You can expect a very last-ditch effort for him. If it seems that the disc is just beyond his reach, he'll give it his all, make a long jump, and usually come up with it.
Pretty windy out here to end the day. We're up in the shade, thankfully. And the sun starts to go down, temperature's starting to cool. It reached up to in the 90s in Fahrenheit earlier today. but it was nice and cool in the ocean as we got to take a break. I had to go in the water. It's been a great time here in Dubai. Sweden with their first opportunity with the disc. Dahlberg looking deep, trying for the answer. Great catch. Was it inbounds? Or was it caught? No discussion, no signal. Let's take a look here on the replay.
Absolutely, that was a great catch.
Be ruled a goal, and Sweden will tie this game at 1. And Megan, you've gotten the opportunity to actually play in these types of tournaments, representing Team USA in 2004. Tell us a little bit of the difference between what it takes to cut on beach versus grass.
Well, because the sand feels like it sucks your feet in, you're not able to move as quickly. Quite obviously, that's the first point to make. But you then, to react to that, have to change your cutting style, whereas normally I like to take a few. So, of course, that takes an adjustment to your style. You develop habits after hundreds and hundreds of repetitions one way to then come and have to make that adjustment as quickly as you have to in these kinds of tournament settings. It can be very tricky.
See Norden getting every other throw for this Canadian offense. And Cabot underneath. Norden. Quick flip. Moans. Marin. And the first mistake from Team Canada. Megan, you're a handler yourself. It must be tough out there for Norden to have to get every other pass, especially in the sand.
Absolutely. That point has to be very tiring for him. He's in peak physical form. He's an excellent athlete. Of course, he can handle more tiring situations, but it will start to affect even the best players' decision-making when they are that exhausted. Couple that with the kind of swirly wind we're having right now, it's going to make for difficult play.
Sweden gives it right back on the bladey throw. It's going to be difficult to complete that one in these windy conditions. Multi-photos on the scene. A lot of Ultimate Media here this weekend. Sure to be lots of parties and social gatherings later on in the week.
And that's what's really fun about these international tournaments. The tournament director has done a fantastic job of making sure there are fun opportunities for teams to meet and greet one another.
Norden looking for an option, foul called on the play. This is Ultimate Frisbee here. There are no referees in this game. It is self-officiated. Players work out disputes amongst themselves, come to a resolution and move on depending on whether or not there's agreement or disagreement. Norden talking over with his mark, Carlson. A lengthy discussion. They're actually debating the rules of where it comes in and comes in contested. Norden going deep. Caught just short of the end zone. Berg spins it back. Cabot trying to find Norden. Has to go to the end zone. Marin.
I was glad to see the point end the way that did. Norden was looking like he was either trying to work himself in every other point or feeling like he had to. You know, at some point when you see one of your teammates doing an inordinate amount of work, you need to discuss what changes have to come about in order to affect more team unity, team effort.
Sometimes you want to entrust just one player to move the offense down the field, but that just everybody then becomes to rely on that player, and as soon as that player falters at any point in time, you can start to lose confidence. Having more touches, like you said, Megan, breeds confidence throughout the team. Team energy gets up, and Canada is going to need it through this game. It's going to be a tough one. Both of these teams stack up well against each other. Sweden coming out and winning the tournament 2 years ago, not this Beach Worlds, but the Europeans. And Jeremy Norton's not shy to the international stage himself, gaining a victory in the mixed division with a team primarily represented by Team Fisher-Price for Team Canada.
And confidence is exactly the thing that Canada should have. Canada all across the board really has a very strong ultimate program. And to make this team, one had to apply and then get approved by a selection committee. So even though Sweden has had the opportunity to win as a team, you know, that's the kind of confidence building activity they've experienced in their history. Canada should have their pride on their sleeve at this point. To make this team is a high honor.
With the disc going out of bounds and not coming back in at a certain point, Sweden will gain a huge advantage, nearly 10 meters outside the end zone. And a lofty throw to the other side of the field. Call on the play.
It's tricky to tell whether the first foot that landed was inside or out of the field. Oh, it looks like his left leg was down.
I think that's a goal, a very tight call, and they'll discuss it on the field. Let's take a look at some of the young spectators here today. Getting their first taste of Ultimate Frisbee. The glory, the domination.
The future of Ultimate.
And it's called a goal.
Of course, we have the luxury of instant replay, so we can safely say, yes, we agree with that. Canada will have to wait until they're back in their hotel rooms to review that play to see it was a clean catch.
2-2, game to 13. Both teams coming into this game undefeated. 9 minutes in, we'll reach soft cap at 45 minutes. And we'll be back with you tomorrow here on Dubai Sports with some more commentary straight at 8 a.m. Starting out in the Open Masters division with the Philippines versus Canada. Philippines, one of those island nations that actually prefers beach, doesn't send teams to attend grass tournaments, gives them every opportunity to compete.
The wind is really picking up today, and as I was mentioning earlier, it's sort of gusty, which is making it hard to adjust your throws. I've noticed quite a few pulls, quite a few long throws are clearly not going the way the thrower intended.
Norden has two receivers streaking deep, throws it to either one of them. Cabo, what a great block! And the defender looks like he's hurt in the play. And that does not look good, potentially a separated shoulder.
He came down pretty hard on that left shoulder.
That looks to be Jacob Greenberg with the great effort on the block, but now in pain, unfortunately. And we'll take a short break here in Dubai Sports, and we'll be back with the action quickly. But it looks like he's going to be okay and walk off the field, so we'll continue on.
You know, I think that's the first injury we've seen so far this tournament. I'm sure perhaps on some of the other fields something's happened, but really the beach makes for a much kinder surface for ultimate players. You've noticed so far what kind of layouts we have, or how the play tends to bring you down to the ground. Usually the beach a little more forgiving than the grass.
Throw from Sweden is too high. Norden will pick it back up for Canada. Cabo. Back to Norden. Not too much movement here from Team Canada, all relying on what Norden's looking at. Marin. Up to Norden. To Cabo. In the end zone. Not ruled not in. First point of contact was not in the end zone. Canada will have to stuff it in. Norden for the flip. Close quarters, no problem. 3-2, Canada leads.
I have to give props to Canada for that point when you recognize that your longer throws are starting to do things you hadn't quite intended for them to do. It's time to pull it in and use their under game. So we saw a lot of quick, shorter passes, a little bit easier to control in this wind. Led them straight to the end zone. The only thing I would want to see them adjust is on the way down the field, it's very tempting to then try and catch the disc right at the front of the end zone. It's better to spread out, make full use of the yards that you have in the end zone instead of trying to push it right in over the end zone line.
Got to say, too, the defensive intensity and pressure from Sweden is starting to mount. And even though Canada has this 3-2 lead, I'm not sure which way this game is going to go. The energy from Sweden seems relentless thus far.
Absolutely, and if Canada continues to rely on Norden, as you said, at some point that's going to take a wear on all players on the field.
You've played at a tournament at this level. You've played on Nemesis for many years. What's it like when you feel that defensive pressure? What do you do to deal with it?
Well, you have to remind yourself that you have an artillery of throws. You don't simply have your backhand and forehand. There are breaks. You can get creative and throw a hammer. When you remind yourself that you have lots of different options that you can throw, it can help you feel more at ease with working around your mark.
Turnover. Gives it back to Canada, and they'll have a chance to break. First time this game. Josh Marin this time. Epperson, actually a member from the United States. And Sweden gets it back with a block.
Stina team with the layout D there. Really seen some fantastic effort from Sweden. It can be tempting when you think you don't have position over your person to not make that kind of effort to get the disc, but they're giving it their all, hoping against all hope that they'll get the D.
Dahlberg. Anderson to the end zone. Too far. Defense is quite different than offense, like you've said. The mentality to have that, the relentlessness to chase the disc regardless of the outcome. In general, you've been a defensive handler. How do you take that switch when you come from a defensive point where you've had the intensity and energy, and now you've got to be calm, cool, and collected to deliver on offense?
Well, I always tell myself after my team has gotten the D, we earned this. It is now our time to work it down the field. And just that idea alone, you know, that the disc was not given to me. Me as a person, us as a team, we earned it, helps calm me down.
Marin. Epperson. Smith, one of the players that has impressed Captain Jeremy Norden. Very athletic in the sand. A great grab by Marin to keep it alive. Call downfield. Pretty chippy game that we've seen. Probably the chippiest in the tournament thus far. Almost to be expected here. Both teams really vying for this early match.
Yeah, I feel like both teams feel as though they have something to prove to the other team. I know that number 2 spot in the mixed division was very hotly contested, and since these two teams haven't matched up against one another, nor to some reasonable facsimile of one another, kind of feel like now's the point to prove, no, the 2 seed actually belongs to me.
Play resumes. Smith. Marin. Great grab along the sand. Foul called. This one coming back. Ultimate is a non-contact sport, so any contact here can be construed as a foul. Some teams do choose to play through it. If contact does not affect the play, both teams can decide to play on. Epperson, Marin puts it out to space, caught for the goal.
Notice the kind of spin he put on that disc as well as the tilt he put on that disc. He was trying to make sure it curved away from the defender and back into the hands of number 11, Riopel, for that Canadian score. That had to be a huge confidence booster for Canada after they struggled, labored that point to get the disc down the field.
Getting that point very sweet for the Canadians. An early 4-2 lead, and we've seen almost 0 comebacks so far in this tournament. When you gain an early lead, it can be tough for the other team to come back. If Canada can strike another one here, it could open up things, certainly put the pressure on the Swedes.
Yeah, there's just not enough time to let too large of a lead occur. We watched the game where France went down to Australia, I think 5 points at one point during the game, managed to pull it back within 2, but no more than that.
And Jeremy Norden decides to toss a high arcing pole. It doesn't work out. As a result, Sweden will get it in advantageous field position. Sundqvist. Quick movement from the Swedes, looking to attack the end zone. Dahlberg. The call will be going back here. Dahlberg looking for options downfield. Pressure mounting here. Canada looking for the break with Norden. Quick up the line to Dahlberg. Great layout grab.
Jonathan Edwards from Canada, furious he missed that. He knew how important it was to try and get that disc back. You know, one word to say about the Canadian defense is that they're really forcing Sweden to throw in these tiny pockets. We saw 3 throws in a row right up against the sideline, and then someone having to come in kind of as a last-ditch effort to keep the flow going. They're not having an easy time moving it down the field.
Both teams showing energy and intensity early on. It's the type of matchups you love to see at a tournament like this here at Beach Worlds in Dubai. As the day is coming to a close, and we've talked about over 70 teams here to compete, 25 different countries. Pull from Sweden. Canada will field it. Norden will stay back on. The workhorse. Foul called on the play. Sweden being very aggressive with the marks. Back to Norden. Quick flip. Now to the end zone. Hanging. Eventually out of bounds. Cowper Smith in the area, the intended receiver.
Are you broadcasting? There you go.
Some love from one of the spectators. And what would be ultimate without kittens?
Fans large and small alike come to watch battles between nations.
I think you're onto something there if we could replace some of the battles we have with a Frisbee game. Sweden shoots deep. Papa, one more pass needed, out in front, runs it down. Sweden ties at 4.
Excellent throw to space. Notice how much time Greenberg had to run that down. Almost relax. He's in his own end zone in a close game, but he has plenty of time to make sure he gets perfect position over that disc Uses 2 hands for a nice secure catch.
Those are those moments as a receiver where you're thinking, I better not drop this.
Right.
This is too good.
On the showcase field in a tight game at the World's Tournament.
Streaming live to the world. It's okay.
With a disc perfectly placed in front of me. Yes, I'd better catch it.
Canada and Sweden here tied at 4. Both teams undefeated coming in this match. Both teams trying to prove who's best. Sundqvist with the pole.
And both teams are clearly battle tested. With teams as high caliber as these, you know they've been in high pressure situations. But as tough as this game is, as early as it is, it's really going to come down to who can withstand the onslaught for longer.
In contact on the backside after a short huck. Edwards came in to try to make the play. And Sweden wants to say there was no contact. I don't think they have a case here.
Yeah, I really have to agree with Canada on this one. Sundqvist was basically pushing Edwards down. But because play is discussed between 2 players and they can't come to an agreement, the disc goes back to the thrower.
Self-refereed. And sometimes the call isn't right, but it's what the players decide in the field. That's how many prefer it, especially in the European scene, and they cite, for instance, teaching young ones conflict resolution at an early age. Great opportunity, Marin. Dangerous throw, but is caught. Going deep for Edwards. Edwards this time hops into the end zone, no problem.
Beautiful forehand put by Epperson on that one. Notice she kept her release point low, putting enough spin on that disc that it floated up but came down just over the end zone line.
Just enough mustard to get it past. And we can see here the players trying to figure out the discussion afterwards.
Greenberg and Sundqvist from Sweden making their case to Edwards. At some point you have to agree to disagree and keep playing on.
Or you can agree to watch the film afterwards and figure out what actually happened.
Right, and that'll be great review for Sweden. Sometimes you feel like you're not being overly physical. Sometimes you feel like you're giving disc space. When you have the opportunity to watch the footage again, you can say, okay, yeah, he definitely had control of the disc, but my bumping into his back caused him to drop it.
They resume Sweden on the end line. Team. Cutter streaking deep. Big fake. And now decides to put it too far out in front.
Stina team just not quite able to close the distance in time.
So it will be Chris Cowper-Smith picking it up for Canada with a chance to extend the lead. Riopel. That was actually Desbians.
So as the person with the disc, as the thrower, you are allowed a disc space, meaning there can be one disc space between you and your defender. A defender is not allowed to make contact with you as you are attempting the throw. That is one of those rules that is cause for contention. As the defender, you have to be perfectly still for there not to be a foul. If the person is trying to throw into you, then of course it's not your fault. But if you are moving, then as a defender, it's your fault. There is a foul.
And this is what happens when you have contrasting styles play against each other, especially Sweden here, who's probably trying to ramp up the physicality as Bien's making close quarters catch. Foul call, but will resume quickly. Looking deep. This one for a 2-point lead, all alone.
Emma Seaborn with great foresight, seeing her teammate all alone, jacks it.
Catherine View coming up with it in the back of the end zone, and some relaxation going on.
You know, I really feel like Canada is starting to hone the intensity and focusing it towards constructive offense and still classic clean defense. I'm really impressed. Earlier I thought that they were playing a little jittery. Perhaps the physical mark from Team Sweden was starting to fluster them, but now they've fallen into a rhythm, they've fallen into a groove, and it's working for them.
I have to agree, Megan, with you. I think that Canada has survived the initial test, the onslaught of energy, and it's up for Sweden to keep the energy up, but do something different. Looking to convert an offense. Sometimes you can find yourself too intense. And it looks like there's some switching going on in the field. There are rules in WFDF, the World Flying Disc Federation, if you don't reach halftime by a certain point during game time, that you can go ahead and simulate the half.
Something we haven't yet seen, because most of the games we have aired, they haven't reached halftime by the actual halfway through point of the game, with these matches only being 45 minutes long. Find people are getting to halftime maybe a little bit farther in than at the halfway point.
We are 15 minutes away from cap, and we've had some long points thus far. Sweden making a mistake in the back of the end zone.
Canada quick to get down and put on the defensive pressure in their own end zone.
For an option up the line. And a block by Team Canada.
Yolan Cabot showing yet again he will do what it takes to do well for his team.
The speedster. Now Canada looking to punch it in. Marin. The hammer attempt, and Edwards trying to eat his own jersey. You can tell he wants that one back.
Yeah, he immediately regretted his decision. Just needed to put a little more lift on it for it to make it.
Canada gets it right back. Sweden trying to huck it.
You have to view this one as a gift. For that kind of mistake to be rewarded with an immediate turn.
Canada, let's see what they do with their early Christmas present. Holding on to it thus far. Edwards up to Cabot. Edwards runs it down, snags it out of there, and Canada leads 7-4.
Riopel right there as well as a likely target in case that disc was not caught, because two receivers are better than none.
I thought you said it was tough to run in the sand. Edwards is continuing to jog around like it's no big deal. He's got a lot of energy.
I should say it's tough to run in sand for mere mortals.
And now we have a halftime. I've got to say, I'm not sure what happened on the field, but we'll take a short break here on Dubai Sports. Canada leads 7-4. We'll be right back in a moment.
Grass. Grass.
Back here for second half action of Team Canada versus Team Sweden in the mixed division here at the 2015 World Championships of Beach Ultimate. Got ourselves two undefeated teams vying to see who's supreme. And right now Sweden is down by 3, needs them out a comeback. Megan, the hucking game is not working for Sweden. Canada's been able to weather the storm. What does Sweden need to do differently to get back in this game?
I actually think one thing that's hurting Sweden right now is how close they're playing their marks. I think Canada is having an easy time working around it. I think it would be better for them to take a step off so they can really cut off a wider range for Canada. Besides that, I think they need to slow down their offense. They're kind of playing outside of their comfort zone right now.
Hogberg sends it going deep. Smith is there, and a drop. Devastating. Carlson will certainly want that one back. This is not what Sweden could afford coming out of the half.
That was a bit of a tough read. He was kind of running the exact same direction the disc was going. Made it hard for him to assess where he needed to place his body to make that catch. Would have been better if he was running a little bit wider than, or a little bit farther away from the sideline, give him some space to move into it.
Looks like there was a foul on the throw regardless, so the play will come back. Sweden will have new life. And play resumes. Carlson dishes it back. Dahlberg. Hogberg to Dahlberg. No problem. Had the space, runs it down. Sweden down by 2.
Comparing that with a miss earlier, notice that he was coming in from a wider angle, so he had full view of the disc as he was running into it. It was easier for him to make the correct trajectory to get to the frisbee.
Only 10 minutes to go in this match. Your last round of the day in the mixed division. Taking a look as the sun is setting over the Persian Gulf. Water is nice and cool. Everybody settling in who's done for the day along the sidelines. We can see the bars are getting set, taking all incoming customers. Norden. Looking deep, wide open. No words can.
And there we have it. The miss no one wants to have.
No words, just no words can express the sorrow that Edwards just felt. In and out of the grasp.
But this is really what sets players apart, good players from great players, how they can respond to that kind of mistake. Can Edwards fight back and try and get the disc back for his team, or will it remain on his mind for the rest of the point?
I think as we've all been ultimate players, we've all been there at one point in time. I think my worst memory is of dropping the pole and then getting a pass between the legs for the score. Sweden, however, does Canada another favor. Megan, what was your worst ultimate moment?
Do we have to? Do we have to? At Nationals, I pulled the disc. I was trying to throw a big outside in, and it went out not 3 yards outside of our end zone and never came back in. So the opposing team was able to take it pretty much right at their own end zone line.
Great catch by Cabot, the speedster from Montreal, playing for Odyssey. Survives the contact. And don't worry, Megan, we've all been there with the poles as well.
Thanks, Brian. So Edwards, no doubt thanking Cabot for bringing in a score one way or the other for Canada on that point. Just 7 minutes left in this game and a 3-point lead, Canada over Sweden.
It's been unimpeachable so far this tournament. You saw a shot of Uda Claren on the sideline, one of the star women for this mixed team, fortunately out sick. Was a U19 star actually on the Swedish men's team. This gets centered. Looking for Dahlberg. Now going deep. This one will hit. And just tripping over the sand. Nothing going Sweden's way. Eliasson. Canada will get the disc back with a chance to grow their lead larger. Speaking of growing things, that beard.
It's pretty fantastic and has clearly been cultivated for quite some time.
Sweden still giving the defensive pressure. They're not done yet. Another close reception. Looking for an option. Topper Smith.
Man, Canada is taking a beating and is completely unfazed by these marks.
Marin tosses it up. This one's coming back. But after a collision, Epperson slams her head in the ground. Let's hope that's not serious. She'll be taking a breather at the moment. Always a worry of concussion when you see something like that.
Yeah, we don't see them very often in ultimate frisbee, but obviously tough contact with the ground can occur.
And we'll be back in a brief moment after this injury timeout here on Dubai Sports. We'll see the conclusion here. Canada leading Sweden 8-5. Back at the 2015 World Beach Ultimate Championships here in Dubai, coming off of an injury timeout. Epperson slamming her head on the ground, but able to get back up and thankfully off the sideline looking okay. Might have to go through some concussion protocols. Canada leading Sweden 8-5. I'm Brian Jones here with Megan Tormey, bringing you coverage all week here in Dubai, in sunny, hot, and wonderful Dubai.
That is a tough loss for Canada in this game. Epperson has been quite an aggressive force in this game, where intensity has really mattered.
Canada retains possession. Marin. Gets it right back. Looking for a variety of different options.
Quite an effort from Eliasson, but unfortunately not rewarded.
Smith, Cowper Smith. Marin. Timeout called by Team Canada. Wants to talk this one over, and with cap looming, it's going to mean a tough and tall task for Team Sweden to come back.
Excellent decision on the part of Canada. We saw what a difference maker that was in the last game we broadcast, Canada versus the United States. It really helped focus and calm the nerves of the Americans, leading to a victory in this game. I'm sure the same thing will occur for Canada. Just nice to pause for a moment. And as you've mentioned, time is ticking away. Since they already have a lead, it's certainly in their best interest to try and drag it out.
And you know who hasn't seen the field in a while? Jeremy Norden, after playing so many early points. Taking a look here. The near had a hand, needed a little bit more. Eliasson Canada able to keep possession. And both teams are breaking out of the timeout. Canada with the commanding 8-5 lead. We will reach cap after the completion of this point, which will mean add one to the highest score. Play has not begun, but Marin cutting early enough. Coach from Sweden. Fish goes back. Marin. Pick called. This one will also go back, and we'll see the chippiness come out here, but a valid call by Sweden. And ultimate Frisbee picks are not legal, meaning that the offense cannot impede the defender from making a play in any form on the disc. Marin in traffic. Copper Smith had an open cutter in the end zone, decided to look it off, didn't like the option. Sweden is on the backs here of the Canadians. So much pressure as they march, and a travel called. And some groans now from the spectators not liking the chippiness. Not sure how travels can easily be called in Beach Ultimate. Marin. And a foul called. Play restarts. Towing the line.
Some discussion as to whether or not he moved the line with his foot as he caught that. I think that one's going to be a really tough one to argue.
Here we go, take a look, Smith. And I can't tell if that's before or after the catch. In all likelihood, unless somebody had, we might get a better angle right here. Just out of view, kicking up sand. And you know what? In this situation, unless somebody had a clear, confident view of it, this is going to go back. And then it does. Goes back to Marin. Jordan Marin with a disc. Last round of the day, so we'll be playing this one through. Just as we take a look.
I would have to award that. I would have to award that as a goal.
Bring it out to space, and Canada comes up with it. 9-5. They lead as time cap is hit. So Sweden will have to now score 5 in a row in order to take this game. Almost assuring a Canadian victory.
The level of confidence of both teams has definitely shifted throughout this game. Earlier, I thought Canada was relying too heavily on one of their team leaders. And yet now I feel like they're working as a nice, wide, cohesive unit. On the opposing side, I feel like Sweden is now getting more aggressive with their defense, more physically aggressive, unnecessarily so, to try and combat the lead that Canada has over them right now.
And Sweden has brought the physicality all game long, and it's not been particularly effective. Canada has had no problem dealing with it, and a team like Canada has tons of experience dealing with overly physical teams. And Sweden certainly is towing that line. Dahlberg.
Of course, both teams will have an awful lot to take away from this game. This, of course, being only the second full day of the tournament. So a lot of small things they can adjust and improve upon. This, of course, is not the finals of the game. This is just regular pool play. And there, a fantastic D by Edwards.
And a layout grab to match. Just not sure if it's going to count. And Edwards can't believe it. Thought he had the winning goal in his hands. Great layout block. Edwards was almost giving the no signal. Had to make the catch anyway.
It was thrown anyway.
More discussion going on in the field here.
Oh, if you look in the background, someone from Canada was raising her hand. Apparently there was a call on the play just a little bit earlier. So now they're saying that both of Edwards' layouts were rendered
obsolete.
Thank you. Tragically so, but at least he has the footage for posterity.
Stick it in a highlight reel, nobody will know the difference. Carlson getting ready to check the disc in with Berg, marking from Canada. And all of that discussion for naught. Canada will pick it up. Looking to secure the victory. Quick flip back. Seaborn. Some confusion here. There was a travel called, and travels, once you reach the play, the disc gets checked back in. But Norden actually expressing some frustration on the sideline about the stall count. Again, these players have 10 seconds to throw in a variety of different rules, which we'll not explain here in detail, determine what exactly the count comes in on based on foul calls and other things. Canada knocking on the doorstep for the win. They get it. They win. Battle of Undefeateds goes to Canada 10-5.
Eric Hunter with his very first goal of the game. Not a bad score to put on the final point for Team Canada.
Taking a look again on the replay. Edwards zips it in. Reaction time is fast enough. Well, it was Sweden coming out with a physicality, but Canada responded. They will be the kings of the beach to end the day as we look at the sunset. Megan, what does it look like for Team Canada and Team Sweden heading out from here?
Well, obviously Sweden is going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what went wrong for them that game in particular. I think a lot of team discussion will help them kind of digest what happened and dissect what needs to be changed, what needs to be honed in on. Canada definitely walking away from this looking like an entirely different team. They finally were playing with the confidence that they ought to have had at the very beginning of the game. And, you know, even though this wasn't the finals, obviously a lot of pride was on the line, as I mentioned, that second seed placement, very hotly contested between these two teams.
Two undefeateds met, one came out. Canada wins the game 10-5, last round of the day here in Dubai in the mixed division. On behalf of our crew here, Dubai Sports, for Megan Tormey, I'm Brian Jones. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.